We're live. Yay. All right. Oh, we have comments already. Hi everyone. Thanks for jumping in. This is actually very exciting. I keep looking at this screen because it has the chat, and this is like the actual screen I'm recording. This is actually very exciting. This was just announced like today, right? Today is, yeah. So this was just announced. I've seen like Kyle doing like the RFC and a few like experiments. I follow Kyle. I follow the Gatsby project very closely, and this is actually an amazing addition that you can add on top of your like starter to configure stuff. So if you have a very complex starter like that might need some data and few files that needs to be created and stuff like that, this can be a great addition to be able to add that. So instead of having like a long list of README, okay, go install this, install that, what you will do is you'll end up with a recipe like this. So it's basically, you will be routing mostly Markdown, but this is using MDX. And MDX basically is a great tool that combines Markdown and React components. So you can actually write normal Markdown. This will be rendered. But then if you write like a React component like this one, like in GSX, this will be resolved into a component, and then it will execute something or run something. And this is very awesome. You can see here the video. Like you do, okay, Gatsby recipes. These are the default ones. And then you want to add theme UI, for example, to your Gatsby project. So here, this is all automated. And as an author of like theme UI, for example, you will be able to update these recipes all the time. And people won't be able to, like, you will reduce the amount of mistakes and support requests about like, hey, this thing didn't work for me or something like that. Because all of what you see here usually will be some docs on readmes, and with readmes, docs can get very outdated. So that's the basic idea of recipes. Here's the link, you can read about it. So I want to actually do a few recipes that I use day to day. So probably I want to build maybe a recipe for setting up like Contentful, adding the plugins. Probably we would even load some sample files like an export file, and then install the CLI and do other stuff. And I think this is already feasible with all the documentation that we have. So by default now we have this npm package. So whenever you add this npm package, this will install an npm package. So it will run for you npm install and then the package name. There's a Gatsby plugin. So this one will do an npm install for the Gatsby plugin and add it to the Gatsby config in the plugins section. There's file. This one is you can load some content, right? I mean, this is coming from a gist or whatever, and you can load that data and write it into this file. And I think there's also another one. Where was it? So documentation is still a bit like, this is an experimental thing. So documentation is still a bit, not complete, and that's normal. But going through the pull request, I think I found also like, where is it? npm was it JSON or the script? So this one also, there's this one like an npm script. This will add a script into your package JSON automatically. You can name it here, like for example, like test, and you give it the command. And I think, where is it? What else? And there's another one which is like npm package JSON, but this is useful for, where is it? This one. So this, if you want to add something to the outer, like as a property to the outer object into npm, where is it? Like into npm JSON. So I think I'm gonna do something. Let me see. Let's. So I have this like hello world Gatsby thing going, but let's say I wanna. One thing I use a lot with Gatsby recently is Tailwind CSS. So maybe I can create a recipe that will add Tailwind CSS for me right away. And we can like steal some code from like the emotion stuff, since, I mean, they're not the same, but I mean, we can do something about it. So let's add a file here, a folder here called recipes and Tailwind CSS .mdx. Come on. So the extension of the file will be mdx. So this is like a kind of a markdown. And then, so I'm inside of recipes, and then Tailwind CSS. All right. So I think the first thing is we just write simple markdown, set up tail. Let's say, okay, set up Gatsby with Tailwind CSS. So that's that. Maybe here we can do Tailwind CSS and then have a link from the tailwindcss.com. And thanks for the follow. Right here, so Tailwind, and then maybe, okay, Tailwind is a highly blah, blah, blah. So maybe you can copy that. Do you happen to, do you see the text very clear, or should I make it, maybe let's make this smaller. We don't need a window browser. This is bigger, and then maybe do a little bit of more zoom in. I hope this this works better with the text. So here we did add like Tailwind and a link and some description. But now we need to do a few things. I have Tailwind already installed in some of the projects, so I'll just walk you through how I would add like something like Tailwind, for example. So I know that I added Tailwind CSS in this project. Yeah, I hope so. I think so. But I don't see. Yeah, CSS config, Tailwind config. And yeah, all right. So first thing first, let's take a look at our dependencies and what do we need to do to have this. So I would install like Tailwind CSS first thing. So let's go to here, and then use 3 dashes to separate steps. So okay, 3 dashes. That's step 1, which is introduction. Now we would install the necessary packages. Oh, okay. I think this is perfect. Come on. All right. Here I would have, where is it? npm package. npm package. The name would be Tailwindcss. All right, so I installed Tailwindcss. I think I need to install some other stuff. Well, I'm not sure if it's gonna be like a plugin or something else. Let's go also back to the Gatsby config. I think I added these two things, Gatsby plugin post CSS, and then Gatsby plugin purge CSS. So these can be, thanks Jacob for the follow. This can be also added as a plugin, so we don't need to install it as a script. But I'm just checking if we need to there's this node sass, but I'm not sure if we are using that. Let me check again, because I think we use the post CSS, so we don't need the, yeah. So yeah, let's keep it there, and then now let's add the second step after we install Tailwind CSS. Hey Jacob, or I'm saying it like in maybe it's Jacob or Jacob or Jacob, or I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. And then here we install necessary Gatsby plugins, and then here let's copy okay, Jacob, right? Okay, yeah, I've been in Germany for a long time, so now the J is like yacht, they call it. So we have a plugin. Yeah. All right, so we will install this. One thing though is, right now, as in the documentation, this Gatsby plugin doesn't support options, so we will only be able to install maybe plugins with their default options, or plugins without options. So for now, I think we might skip this purge CSS. This is important because we need to clean up all the classes that we don't use. So that's why. Okay, I guess let's install the post CSS. So here we have Gatsby plugin, and I think since this is MDX, you can create your own like components and create connectors. I haven't used MDX that much, but I think you can even build your own stuff like these connectors. I don't know if how you would distribute them later on through Gatsby, but I don't think Gatsby will be distributing all your stuff because some of them might be like custom to the use case. We have Gatsby plugin post CSS. So this will install the plugin and add it to the Gatsby plugin, the Gatsby config.js. All right, so that's that. Now we need to write few files, and this is through the file stuff. So setup, what is it? Necessary files. All right, so if we go back, we need to, we added the post CSS. So now we need this tailwind config.js, which will be like an empty thing. So for that, I think what they are using now is like these gists. I don't know if you can create like a group of gists. Yeah, I think. Okay, so Gatsby Tailwind CSS recipe. So this one would be tailwind.config.js, I think. Yeah, tailwind.config.js. And then here we would just get this and I guess paste it in there. Create a public gist. I think we can add to the same thing like a gist here. I hope so. Yeah, I can add another file. Okay, great. Now we added this config. We would also go to the post CSS and have this, because this is important. We need to add the Tailwind CSS as a post CSS plugin. That's what basically, and this one would be post css.config. And then I will later add this, like the recipe also in here, so you can actually run it. But I want first to test it locally. So we have this, and I think we need to I think also we need to have this src styles, and then Tailwind CSS. We need to basically have this one. This will be Tailwind CSS. So this is important to load like all the Tailwind stuff. All right, so we have 3 files. All right, and now we need to, okay, we don't need this anymore. I guess we don't need this anymore. Come on, show me some stuff. Pages. I'm wondering if file also will create a directory for me or not. So the gists here are actually files, like the content of files that I want to create while running the recipe. So instead of telling the user, hey, go create this post CSS config.js in your root directory, I would create a gist with the content and then get this raw URL here. And then using this file thing, I will give it a path, like where I want to create it. And then the content, which is coming from my gist. And then it will inject, like create a file and get the content from that gist and put it in there, basically. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, cool. So where was doing? Okay, so let's get this file. I want to just test it, but so let's change inside of this. Okay. We would need like 3 file stuff. So we would need, where's my list? I think, yes, Jacob, since it's basically a URL to like raw content. I think you can maybe like go in here, for example, like to, where is it? Let's go, for example, Tailwind config and then do raw. I think even if you add this URL, it might also like add it. But it was just like for convenience, I think. But any source, I think any source for now is maybe possible. I don't know about the ins and out, about like also security considerations and stuff like that. But yeah, if you have the raw URL for like the file content, you can, I think for now you can use the file. So I need to just, so I need a post css.config.js and I think 2 more files. One is tailwind.config.js. Yeah, definitely. Like a recipe repos, I think it's gonna be like the new hot thing at some point. But since like a recipe is maybe so small and it's mostly like markdowns, maybe also a gist, because in a gist you can actually include different files, and I think you can even run a recipe from a gist. But yeah, makes sense. A repo also would make sense. So, and then I need it in here also. I need a tailwind.css, and this one I will try something like this is inside of src styles, and let me go to, where is it? Compy link address. Okay, that's that. The config. Yeah, definitely. Like in you would have, for example, like your own starter or like what is it, Gatsby theme or whatever, and you would, yeah, I think a monorepo would make sense there. So you can have like one, like your own project, and then a recipe as also like a different package. But also like sometimes might be an overkill if it's just a few text files or just like the markdown stuff. All right, so we have these 3 files. I think, how do we end the recipe, or just like, okay. And then maybe here we can have, okay, 3, you are all good to go. You are good to go. I don't know if I can, I still need to import the Tailwind CSS inside of at least like a component. So we might need to We might need just to create a Tailwind example file or something. So let me see. Edit. And probably here I would say, okay, using Tailwind css.js. So this will be like our component. We would maybe import React from React, and then we will export default component, and then this will return. Maybe we can have like an h1 class name, text. Where is it? Is it text? We can do text 3xl. This is a 3xl text, and then close the h1. And then here we need to import. So we will be inside of pages. So we will go back one thing and then go to styles, tailwind.css. Yeah, update. All right, so this is using the Tailwind stuff, and copy link address. So here, this will be inside of pages, and then we'll be using Tailwind.js, and then this is the Tailwindcss file. I think so. All right, so time to check our recipe. Right now we would do Gatsby, I think recipe, and then recipes, and then Tailwind. Will this work? Gatsby, maybe recipes. Come on. Could not parse Gatsby plugin name. Gatsby plugin. Gatsby plugin. What's wrong? Okay. Yeah, I needed to. It's JSX, so it requires you to close like all the tags that you have. Okay, so far so good. Let me clear up this and run it again. Drum rolls. Oh, loading recipe. Oh my god. Okay, Tailwind CSS is blah blah blah, and then here it's telling us. Okay, so this is a step 1, which is introduction and some text. And we hit enter. So install Tailwind CSS latest. We press enter. It's installing Tailwind CSS. This is amazing. Yeah, this will take. Okay, so now we need to do we need to install the, okay. Now it's okay. I think we need to, I thought the Gatsby plugin would install also the package, but it didn't. So here we need to actually also install the Gatsby plugin post CSS. I thought it will install it also, but it didn't. So that's our recipe. But so far so good. I mean, yeah, check out. What is it? I mean, let's try run it again. I hope that the status it didn't. Okay, so that's that. We installed these two packages. Yeah, it looks very cool. I mean, it took us what, like, I think now it's like I've been streaming for like 30 minutes, but I spent like 10 minutes just reading and talking and saying nonsense. So this is like 15 minutes and you have all the stuff. All right, so we installed the package. We would add the Gatsby plugin post CSS to the Gatsby config.js. Now you see like all these files that it will create for us. So if we hit enter, hopefully it's writing everything. Yeah. So now if I do yarn develop, so if the recipe worked, if I go to yarn develop, we would end up with a page with the path using Tailwind CSS, and inside of it we'll have an H1 with the big text like 3x. Okay, so that's building. All right. So we go here, and then it's called using Tailwind, I think. Yeah, cool, awesome. Oh my God, this is working. So if we go here and then go to the classes, you see here, this is a Tailwind class. Oh my God, this is working. This is amazing. Cool. Okay. So here's what I will do. Oh my God, this is a big window. Okay, so I will get this here, and then go to my my gist. So let me make this bigger now, since this is our main. So I would edit this, and then where is it? Tailwind CSS Gatsby recipe. I don't know, something like this. And then the content is this. And then update. And so if okay, let me just try something. This is the recipe. If I copy this and then the Gatsby recipe, instead of like the local file, I would give it the gist file and then hit enter. Yeah, works. Awesome. So you don't even need to have it locally. Like you just can host it somewhere. It can be in the repo. It can be in another thing. So here's Here's the recipe, folks. Play around with it. It's awesome. Let me just stop. There's an umbrella issue also for Gatsby. Okay, come on. This is this is so big. So if I go to, here. So if you create a recipe or something, you can actually the link and no created a Tailwind CSS recipe. And then here works like a charm. And then looking forward for the ability to add, to add the ability to add options in, where is it, Gatsby plugin. Yeah, thank you. So, do we, I don't know if, do you have any ideas of maybe I have another like 30 minutes, so we could create another recipe? Any ideas? If anyone has ideas, I could probably play around with it. Okay, this is why this is not, okay, stopped. I don't think, like, the question here is, am I able to compose recipes together? I don't think you can do it right now. So maybe later. I don't know if this is like, I don't know why the chat is not showing up on the banner. I'm just like looking. Okay, this should be, yeah. Anyway, I'll deal with that later. I don't think so. But I think since this is MDX, probably there's a way of like loading other stuff. I mean, you could write your own connectors to MDX and make it somehow work. Oh wow, okay. So I think there's one also limitation for Ahmed. You asked for like a contentful one. I'd love to do that. We have where is it? Let's go to, we have the one in userland. Okay, got it. And then we have, where is it? This Gatsby Contentful starter. Yeah, that's the thing. Like right now, where is it? It says in the documentation somewhere that options will come in later. Yeah, soon we will support options, but right now it's just a name. So even for like Contentful, we can't, because you need the option to add your credentials. That's not. But we can have a start. Like we can have a stab at it. Um, let's go to the. Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot. Let's do a new gist here. So let's do, where is it? Gatsby. How, how do people like call these things? Gatsby contentful recipe. So let's start with the recipe here. So let's do Gatsby contentful recipe. Let's use the same convention as like naming a plugin. It's gonna be an MDX, and this one will be okay. Setup Gatsby. Okay, so setup Gatsby with contentful and contentful, and then here we will have contentful, and this will be https contentful.com, and let's go to contentful. Come on, grab something, yeah. And by the way, I also like work at Contentful. I'm an engineering manager there, and I love the product. So this is like introduction. We have 3 dots to have a new step. And now let's do install, as usual, install necessary npm packages. So I guess we would need where's the npm package? The name would be Gatsby source contentful. So we would install the Gatsby source contentful. What else do I need to? Yeah, right now the recipe I think doesn't allow you to run like an actual script. It allows you to add something, but yeah. I think we might need to at some point also install the contentful CLI. Yeah, also doesn't specify if it's like a dev dependency or where is it? Package and the name. We'll have contentful CLI. Okay, so we'll install these 2 things, and then we will have Gatsby plugin, the name. We would add this Gatsby source contentful to that. For now, we would add this thing, but then once they add like the new, once they add the new, or they update this Gatsby like MDX connector to accept options, we will update this recipe to inject some more stuff. Like maybe also we could, like a recipe could have like a prompt and asks for like some credentials, and then you paste in some stuff and so on. But I get it. This is still like a new thing. Oh yeah, the Contentful CLI is great. Yeah, I actually worked on it. I worked on it for like a few years actually. Um, it's like my baby. But now I don't work on it that much. I think there's also another like great team behind it. It's not just me. So we do a Gatsby plugin. We install that. Maybe we could do install necessary plugins, or I just would be like add the source plugin. So we add the source plugin. Yeah, I'm thinking about. So if we look at the starter here, if you go to this bin, there's this setup. There's the setup. What is it called? It's a setup script. We could probably also have this, but we need to install a few things. I mean, we might as well like install them. Why not? But this is, I mean, okay, this is not. If you want to have like a better experience, probably this also would be useful to add. Like we could create a file with this inside of bin setup. Yeah, I think depends on like I mean, there's a question about do we need to add the Gatsby source file system? I think that depends on like your starter or the starter that you're doing there. But most of the Gatsby starters they come with that in mind, so it should be fine. Okay, so let me just, so we add this plugin. We are good to go, and then maybe I can have like a to do add setup script later. Okay, let's copy link address, and then Gatsby. So yeah, it's loading the recipe. Set up Gatsby with Contentful. We hit enter. We would need to install the Contentful CLI and the Gatsby source Contentful latest. That's installing. It will take a bit because I mean I think the plugin is fairly big, so. And here's the link to the gist with the Contentful stuff. Yes, I think. So the question from Jacob here is like, is there an indication what is used under the hood? I think I haven't find like checked the sources for these like MDX connectors, but I think they might be using npm because it's npm is shipped with Node, so that's the thing. Okay, so here we have this add script later. But if we go here, I think we could. So what are the things that we need to have? I think we might be able to just have this setup script. Let me go here and then edit. So we would need a few more stuff. Let's maybe install this Contentful import. Contentful import is actually a package inside of Contentful CLI, because it helps you, like Contentful CLI will help you with all this stuff. In inquire, so we'll have like inquire here. We will have chalk. Path is part of node, fs is part of node, and then we need this yarg parser. All right, so that's that. Is like, what is it? Where is it? What's this? Hello. Okay, so that's not. We need just this one. So once we install that, we configure the plugin, which will still need the options. Create a setup script. So we create the setup script. For this, we need the file with path. I guess we would have bin setup.js, and then maybe content would be, okay, the content would be also inside of this file setup.js, and I would copy the content here inside of this file. So we need to update and copy this and then edit our stuff again. So the file will have this content. I think we can also do another thing. So we have the file. Now we can also have, was it npm? What was it? npm, is it script? Yeah. I think it's npm script. Yeah, this is the what I'm looking for. So this will add a script into your npm JSON. We'll have this. It will be like setup. I think here we have an npm run setup or something. Let's go jump into here. Scripts setup, yeah, and then we need this. Okay, so this is the script. And here we would say, okay, please run npm run setup to get started. This will still like fail, but I think also for sake of completeness, we can go here and index. So this one would be loading, would be like listing stuff. Oh, article preview. Oh, okay, so it might need, yeah, like the starter, we might need to create like a lot of components, which I'm not gonna do right now. So let's check our changes now. So this should write also this setup file and then tell us, hey, run setup to get started. So it's loading the recipe. This is weird. Did this change? Is this like changing every time? Or is it maybe caching stuff? Maybe it was caching, maybe because this hash maybe is not always the same. Hit enter. Yeah, okay. So we would install all these stuff. But looking at this, maybe, I don't know, maybe a recipe shouldn't be very also like bloated by like npm packages installs and stuff like that. Oh, look, we have like a star already. This is the umbrella issue. So since options prop is not available yet. And it's still installing stuff, but I think you get the idea. Oh wow! Okay, so this is also the file that will be create like the setup one. If we hit enter, it's done, and then you please run npm run setup to get started. I think yeah, that's great. And yeah, in an hour we made 2 recipes. I would Yeah, I would even go like even faster, but since it's like a live stream and just interacting with you lovely folks, I think it's great. So I'm gonna call it a day, and I hope you learned something. And feel free to follow me, subscribe, and stuff like that. I would also I'm also like posting all the recordings here. So any live stream you'll find it also recorded and like posted on my YouTube channel. So make sure to check it out. I also this is like my website, and if you wanna subscribe to my newsletter, feel free to do that. I'm just plugging all the things. I mean, for those of you who don't know me, I also run the Learn Jamstack newsletter here. If you're interested to learn more stuff, just ping me, like DM me on Twitter or send me an email. I think also like my DM is open, so you can do that. All right, then have a lovely, I guess, night here, but lovely day in other time zones, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.